And it looks we are live today for this glorious Train Tuesday. Hopefully some sun comes out, and hopefully it's a little sunnier where you guys are at, wherever you may be. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Chris Palomares. I have Matt Gentry on the very leftmost there, and then Janek Bringle he's the meat of the sandwich today. So
I like sandwiches.
We have a whole lot of stuff that we're going to be kind of chatting about. What was that?
I like sandwiches.
Well, it's getting close to, it's a little after lunchtime out there, isn't it?
Yeah, I already had lunch. Dang it.
It's an Athern Train Tuesday kind of lunch today. It's what they call, the hand sandwich, you get nothing. Yeah, we have a whole lot of good content for you. We have starting off with some of the updates going on with the GP59, GP60, and Roundhouse, and then HO scale and N scale Jindo 53-foot containers. Just doing a little bit more in depth in there so you can see some of the things that are going on. There's some interesting new artwork and also new road names and other things to point out. So jumping right into it, let me pull up my screen here, and we can start talking about some of the fun stuff we got going on. Okay, let's go over to the GP60. Can you all see the GP60 I got on my screen?
Yep, there it is.
It's actually a GP59. So starting off from the top, I was kind of going through this a little bit more, but starting off with the BNSF GP60s, maybe I'm going to back this up even a little bit further. Matt, we've been making some updates to the Roundhouse locomotives as a whole. Could you tell me a little bit about some of the things that you've been working on the Roundhouse Jeeps?
Sure. So, the Roundhouse Jeeps have been in the Athern offerings for years. And one of the things that internally we had just been seeing on these things that kept coming back is they started to become very hard to service, or I don't know if they started to become, but they were very hard to service in the fact of getting the shell off of the chassis, because it used to be you had to squeeze the sides of the body to disengage those 4 clips that locked into the fuel tank.
Right.
And then the way with that assembly method, that also left the classic Athern buck teeth on the front pilot to go around the coupler boxes. And if you remember the way the coupler boxes were assembled, is it was just a clip that held the coupler in against the metal chassis, and sometimes that would really mess up the coupler height to make it inconsistent and that type of stuff. And so one of the things that we really wanted to improve on this was the serviceability and the shell removal for anybody that needed to get the shell off for maintenance of the electric motor or putting a decoder in it, because these do come with a motherboard in them. Previously they were 8 or 9 pin DCC ready motherboards, and with these newer runs they have the 21 pin motherboard. So that was one of the things that we did, was we nipped off those 4 body clips that clip it into the chassis, and then we filled the pilot in so it doesn't have the buck teeth anymore, and so that the coupler boxes are what is actually holding the shell to the chassis, because the coupler boxes now are threaded, or the mounting screws are now threaded into the metal chassis, and as long as you don't over tighten them, you should have no issues with stripping them out, like some models from various manufacturers put the screw into the plastic screw boss, and if you take it in and out too many times or over tighten it, you can pull those plastic threads out of the plastic screw boss, and then you're sunk if you gotta put it back together or something like that. But so the coupler mounting screw goes into the cast metal frame, And then, like I said, the front pilots are now smooth. It gives it a nice, clean finish, number one. But number two, the old design of the front pilot had the 3 nubs for your MU cables, and I think they had the molded on foot MU trays down at the bottom, the old footboards.
Yeah.
And so we filled that in and just made the pilot completely smooth. Number one, so that a customer could detail it any way that they wanted to. You know, they could put their own MU hoses on there without having to slice off and potentially ruin their fingers in the process with their X-Acto.
Yeah.
And painting it an unfortunate color of Lehigh Valley red. But they don't have to slice off those 3 mounting nubs and ruin the paint on the pilot. They don't have to try to slice off the MU catch trays if they want to put footboards or something else on, or even just a plow on the front pilot. So what we tried to do with the lower end Roundhouse line on this was we tried to make it, you know, modeler friendly, so that you could put on any variation of plow you wanted, any type of pilot detail if you don't use a plow, any type of MU cables, whether it's from Details West, Detail Associates, Athearn, whomever. If you wanted to easily put on a coupler cut bar and train line and that type of stuff. So we really tried to just make it as easy as possible, so you don't have to go into paint, you don't have to go into slicing. You can just go straight to drilling your mounting holes, installing your part, putting it on the layout, and you're good to go.
You know, one of the things about the classic blue box Jeeps, at least, there was never a good way to, you know, mount a knuckle coupler to it. It was either go from the top into that metal tab that stuck out into the buck teeth, or you could try to go from the bottom and use like a larger size screw and try to, you know, tap the, I think it was like a 440 screw. It was this gigantic screw where you're trying to go up from underneath, and it was just one of the clunkiest way to, you know, there was no good way to do it, is my point. And the new system is way cleaner. It's 2 screws, pull out the coupler boxes, and you're ready to remove the chassis, versus in the old days where you have to kind of squeeze the inside of the shells, try to disengage the 4 tabs, and hopefully none of them would break when you remove it. So
right.
And, you know,
and now, you know, in disengaging those 4 tabs, whenever they were updated to include the grain or rice light bulbs, you know, you finally get those tabs unlocked, and you're ripping on it, and then you rip your wires apart, and you had parts everywhere, you know. So
yeah,
like
you had 4 grain of wheat bulbs kind of like this attached to the motor, and you're looking at it like, oh,
wait a minute.
You know, as an entry level product, we wanted to make it a little bit more user friendly.
I would always break off a couple of tabs on mine so that just so I could get it off again if I ever had to.
That's true. You know, after a couple times through, you know, the tabs would sort of either break, leaving like a single one that might kind of sort of hold it, and then if you break a ball off, then you're just kind of like, well, just pick it up from the trucks, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So, but no, like you said, again, we've added the coupler pockets to it, so it's just more with what Athearn customers are familiar with on how to disassemble the locomotive. You know, the coupler boxes slide into the front pilot and remove the screw, and it'll slide out. You know, so it's more in line with the other Athearn product designs. Right.
Well, another thing that, you know, before we go too much further, I just want to note that we're offering the GP60 again for the first time since it was a blue box model. So that would mean also what, first time handrails?
First plastic handrails, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I mean that's a good point. I want to make sure that everybody is clear about this. This is the blue box Roundhouse line item. This is not brand new tooling. This is not a Genesis quality model. This is an existing product. So just so everybody's aware of that feature.
It's a fun product, and we're trying to be inspired by the prototype. We're looking at real equipment and transposing it onto this model here.
Right, right. Like that, the BNSF X Vermont locomotive in the Prime for Grime you've got up there on the screen. You know, I saw that out in Barstow. Whenever I saw that we were making that, it's like, oh man, that's awesome! I love it. So you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
that thing got around for sure.
it was kind of one of those mongrels, you know. It's just it looked really good when it was new over in Vermont red, and you know, I'm sure the rail fans out there missed those days because it was definitely a cool unit when it was new, but it had a story. It became a warrior, you know, as soon as it went to BNSF. So
Right, right.
It also looks like the Tex-Mex unit got repainted into sort of like the late heritage BNSF version as soon as this picture pops up. And I see that it also has the RV style air conditioner on it too.
Yeah.
You just couldn't help yourself on that one, huh?
And then we replicated that, didn't we, Janek? We're putting RV air conditioners on these.
Yeah, these will come with the RV air conditioners or the standard air conditioners, or no air conditioner, depending on what the real ones had. So
right. So still, for a Roundhouse model, you're getting some pretty road-specific features with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really big detail, and it's one that you'd have to add anyways. So
right.
It's important to note too that, you know, when you start talking detail, even on the Roundhouse models, that our Roundhouse models come with all the separate applied grab irons. So really important to note, it's something you don't have to add on the aftermarket or the wire form parts.
Right. And as I mentioned a minute ago, this comes with the 21-pin motherboard, which means they have LEDs in them, because those 21-pin motherboards we have only designed to operate our LED light bulb. So, I mean, it's got LEDs, it's got a 21-pin motherboard ready for your decoder on the non-DCC equipped versions. And I have installed cube speakers in the radiator section of one of my personal models. So, I mean, it's easily updated to sound as well. So
that's awesome. I'm going to kind of move on to the next locomotive here, the CSX GP60. Now, it's important to note that the CSX didn't really get GP60s like when they were brand new. They were kind of like drafted down from different railroads and, you know, secondary equipment. Janek, do you have any info on that?
They were ex-demonstrators. So they had in real life, of course, they had the rounded noses, the rounded cabs, and there was only the 3 of them actually on the CSX. So they were orphans, which is weird. CSX on the series, they had those 10 SD60s, and then that's all they got. And then they got these 3 GP60s. So I guess they didn't really like the 60 series too much.
Yeah, they were really strange with the GP60s. And EMD power kind of all together, you know. It's just they were either hit or miss, or they tried it for a little bit, and then, you know, they would keep some 70 max, but then they would get rid of their aces. So they're kind of hard to figure out, you know.
Yeah, they got rid of all their aces.
They did, you know. So they're kind of a, you know, an interesting group there.
It's almost as if they had something against EMD in the later years.
Yeah, it's funny how that is.
Kind of tragic. Oh well.
Yeah, it's funny how, you know, CSX just they would gravitate to the, you know, kind of the latest EMD stuff. Man, let's go back over to this rebuild stuff with these ST40-3s and, you know, some of this other kind of wonky stuff, and, you know, let go of their mainline stuff. It seemed like it was on the other railroads to be the other way around, that they would, you know, rebuild the power. The rebuilt power would then cast down to their leasing companies, etc. But, you know, CSX had their own kind of agenda.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'd be happy to show you what's next, but I'm having some laptop trouble here. I think it's doing its trick. So hold on a second here.
Well, while we were talking about the Jeep 60s, Harry Wong chimed in and would like the a Jeep 60 with the Aero cab on it.
Yeah, the demonstrator cab, that would be pretty cool. Way back in the day when he first got the Overland ones, he brought this brass one out, and back in the day they had 1.5 volt bulbs in them, and I was trying to help him, put in a decoder in it, and I swear I had to flip the frame around backwards, flip the tank around backwards to get everything to fit right inside. It was just a mess of wires inside of it. It was the funniest darn thing, but it ran.
Yeah.
Hey, that's all that mattered, right?
Indeed. So, I'm having some technical difficulties on my laptop here.
Rick Lichtenberger is asking if the Jeep 60s will be in red and silver war bonnet. So I don't think we did any of these Jeep 60s standard cabs in that war bonnet, did we, Janek?
No, the Santa Fe ones were blue and yellow.
Right.
That's one we could do next time.
But the super fleets were all 60Ms, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. 60Ms and 60Bs. So.
Well, you know what? Let's do this backward, guys. Let's go into some questions. I'm going to reboot my laptop, and then we can go into talk a little bit more about the GP60s and the other roads and the Jindo containers. So how about we kind of go that route right now?
All right.
Yeah, we've got some good stuff. So.
Yeah, I see Ben Martin. He says they got rid of the Aces because they were early pre-production units and were not well made. That's why they had something against EMD for the longest time until the Tier 4 trial purchases. The SD70 Max were still late GM era products, much higher build quality, and a mature product with higher reliability. Yeah,
I remember reading up on those CSX Aces because I think they only had the 10 of them.
Mm-hmm.
If it's 6 or 10 or something like that. And you're right, they were very early units, if not the first units. And I mean, they had ride issues. They were non-isolated cabs, and then just all the bugs that typically comes out with a first production run of something.
Right.
I mean, that's why you don't buy a first production run of an automobile or something like that.
Or in this case, a computer.
Hey, there you go, Chris. So, but yeah, the 70 Max that they're running. I had forgotten that those are GMD built units, and you're right. The crew up at GMD in London, they knew how to build a locomotive.
Mm-hmm.
So,
we also got, let's see here, request for UP patch cotton belt GP60s in prime for grime. Well, of course, everybody in Athens will consider that and appreciate all your requests that are firing off at us today. We have Sam McAllister asking, can we see some Conrail quality SD50s and SD60s in the future? And then our good friend Bob Koch out there, Athearn HO parts, and guess where this one's going? For the RTR SD50 underframe. Bob, if you're really listening to this, we'll take care of you. I mean, you just got to get a hold of the parts and we can service you.
Yeah. Get a hold.
And isn't the crew in Long Beach at a very limited capacity now? I think some of the parts are being fulfilled, but it's, like I said, very limited. Is that right?
Yeah, it's very limited. The wait times are going to be significant, but they are trying to get back into the swing of things slowly and safely. So
right.
So
Yeah, just realized that you can start ordering parts again through the help or the parts@email.com emails, but like Janek just mentioned, there's going to be a backlog, and they're operating at limited capacity, and of course operating at the required social distancing and everything like that. So just have patience with the parts department if you have any requests.
Let's see. We also got let's see here from Ben Martin. I meant General Motors, not GMD, actually. Thanks for reading my comment. And any chance of upgraded P42s with better shell mounting system so the ladders don't fly off? Oh, come on. What, don't you like ladders that fly?
That's part of the fun, man. Jeez.
That's an added feature. That's the F36 button feature. So
you know, it's sort of like those rockets that had like explosive bolts that would jettison the ladders off the side of the thing, you know?
Right.
Adam Reich, have you considered GP40 PH-2s in NJ Transit, Metro North, C&J Heritage livery? And let's see here. He says NJ Transit has a beautiful C&J Heritage unit running currently. So
aren't those just rebuilt GP40Ps from CNJ?
That's a darn good question, Janek.
Those have been on my short list for a while. I keep bugging Matt. I'm like, Matt, it's the same frame as the GP40P-2. We've already got it.
Right.
Well, you know how I treat your all suggestion. What? You're suggesting something? Yeah, put it in the bin.
Put it in the bin, yeah.
I'll put it in my filing cabinet.
Here, let me play basketball.
Yeah. There's Christopher Acuna giving us our weekly reminder for Amtrak California and Surfliner cars. Thanks for the reminder.
Thank you. Yeah, I forgot. So yeah, thank you.
We can check that one off the list now, guys. They're still running those right now, aren't they, Janek? It's just a limited service, right?
Yeah. It's funny. Like last week, the Surfliners are longer than the Southwest Chief currently. So
okay. Now, did they, with the limited service, did they lengthen the Surfliner trains or not?
No, they seem to be exactly the same train sets. Usually, it's 5 Surfliner cars, and then they'll throw in a Superliner as like an additional business class car, I think. So
okay. I tell you, whenever should a manufacturer create those cars, the one train that I would like to create is whenever was it a couple years ago, whenever one of the freeways got hit with mudslides and they brought down the California car equipment to run out of Los Angeles, and they were running up north. I think it was like 12 car consist with a B boat on the other end.
Yes,
that would be a consist to create for all you California guys.
The mudliners.
Yeah.
I actually have a scary story about. Well, it's funny now, but at the time it was pretty scary. Over in La Conchita, I was driving my uncle's truck to pick up my cousin over at LAX, and I came out of Santa Barbara. I was driving down the coast, and just north of La Conchita, there was like a mini mudslide, and I actually ran right through it. It was just dumping rain.
Oh, wow.
And I swear, just the whole truck was covered with mud. It was like total mud bog on the 101. And coming into La Conchita, the whole thing was just all the way down to the beach, from the hills to the beach, just totally covered. I'd say 3 feet of mud. And of course, there's that signature guy just sort of wading, knee high, maybe even hip high in mud, just like trying to wade his way through it. No one was moving. We actually had to turn around. Instead of going south, I actually had to turn around, go over the median, and come back up on the northbound 101. Just there was no passing because everything was cut off from that point from all the mudslides.
Wow.
So from that point, the Surfliner and all that stuff, it was, the only way into the Central Coast was by boat for a period of time because the tracks were washed out, the freeway was washed out,
Wow.
So, but yeah, I remember that, Matt. That was a pretty cool contest.
Yeah, because I think the the way they were running, I think the south end of the train was a standard Surfliner consist with an F59. Then the north end of the train was your standard California consist with a B32 on the point.
Yep.
So.
Right.
Speaking of, Truman James Kimball is asking if we would ever do the F59 PHI again. Those are actually getting ready to deliver in a couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
there's some samples on the way to me right now. So.
Yeah. So
the Metro one was looking pretty darn good.
Yeah, those Metro ones. I mean, even though they just sort of put their own name on the Surfliner scheme, still turned out pretty good. The Cascade ones look a little interesting though. They have that brown with Metro on it. That's a head scratcher.
Blue doesn't really work for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it was such sort of like a mongrel that is just like, that's pretty cool, but man, it's ugly.
Right.
Let's see. We have another. Let's do another comment here. We have, since you just did the last SP GP38-2 in speed lettering, what about doing the SCL GP38-2s? And that's a good point. That was from Cyrus Gillespie asking about, hey, what about I think they were actually L&N, originally delivered L&N GP38-2s, and something for us to consider for sure.
Yeah, that's what they started out as. So we got one from Tony Cook.
Tony, how you doing, Tony?
He wants to know if the Roundhouse G38-2s announced 4/24/2020 have the same features as the GP59 and 60s.
Yeah, so
yes, they do,
Tony,
right?
Yeah, all of those updates were done in commonality on the tooling for those models because they're all sort of based on the same molds. And so those pilot details and updates with removal of those 4 clips and the coupler updates were done to all the Roundhouse former Blue Box GP38-2, GP40-2, GP50, and GP60s. So
there it goes.
And also with that, I forgot to mention on the fuel tank on those where the 4 clips used to secure the shell to the chassis, those 4 holes in the fuel tank have been filled in. So actually it's added a minimal amount of weight back to the chassis too. So
it all helps.
Yep. Any updates? Joel Ashcroft asks, any updates on possible tall snowplows for the UP, GP9, and GP7 locomotives?
No, but thank you for bringing that to my attention, Joel. There are a couple of detail variations I'd like to add to the GP7 and GP9s, and that would be a good detail to have for the update. So I need to make a note of that, actually.
There's a lot of stuff around with your turbines.
Writing it down.
Don't give away my underlying ulterior motive here, Janek.
Okay, let me see if I can share screen now. I appear to be back up and running. Mostly.
Ben Martin, any plan to do more NS SD40Es? So those are rebuilt SD50s, and we did the SD50 a couple years ago now, right, Janek?
17, I think, yeah.
Yeah, so should we pull out the Jeep? Wow, you got me on Jeep 7s, Joel. Should we pull out the SD50 again? I think it would definitely be worth considering doing the SD40Es.
Yeah.
Again, that's a model that we'd like to update. So we'll just have to see what kind of time frame we'd be looking at, or if we would just release it as it stands right now. So.
Let's see. Our 45-foot Crowley and or Seaboard, and that's from Bobby Glendining. So something for us to look into.
Why not? Yeah.
Ooh, Isaac Alston, MK50-3s. Ooh.
More passenger power. And
Oh wow, look at all these comments.
yeah, they're blowing us up now, man.
Yeah, I know.
This is pretty awesome. All right.
Someone's asking if Jeep 60 number 169 will have the e-bell. Janek, do you know about that?
There's no bell to speak of on the Roundhouse engines. You'd have to add that yourself. So.
All right, that's sort of what I was thinking. So, Keenan Menard's asking about the GMD GP38-2s. We didn't do any Wisconsin Central and the announcement that had the CP GMD GP38-2s. So I have to keep an eye on the announcements if we make any additions to that body variation. Let's see. Looks like we might have lost Chris.
Yeah, maybe he had to do a reset or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Can I run this? Hey, look, I can run this. Oh, looks like he's back. Maybe not. Oh, there he is.
Hey.
We can hear you and see you now.
Yay! I'm having a bad internet day. It's like one will work and then the other one won't. So yeah, technical difficulties today, guys. But I appreciate you guys hanging in there and chatting with us. We'll keep it going for a couple minutes longer. Maybe my internet will start behaving.
Right. Okay. Let's see.
Derek Wagner wants us to redesign the gear tower and the tunnel motors. I think we did that already.
To a degree. So that's what I was going to ask is, have you seen our last production tunnel motors, either the 40 or the 45 T2s? Because we took our existing RTR truck and we reversed it the way it sits in the chassis. Mm-hmm. And there's very little bit left of the gear tower that can be seen. I'd want to say there's only, maybe 10% of it visible, and it's just the little clip. Even it's not the whole tower. No, it's not totally gone, but I mean, the bulk of what you used to see is gone. So I definitely recommend you checking out our previous production runs from, what was that, 2019, 2018?
19.
Yeah. And then keep your eye on the announcements for more runs of them. I'm not sure what the exact plans are, but yeah, keep an eye out. So
come on, more SP. Duh.
No, nobody models that road anymore.
SP who? Well, in Janek's case, we could do SPSF.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nobody likes that stuff.
that ketchup and mustard.
Jerron Glander is asking, did you guys decide if the upcoming order of 70 Max is going to be rehabbed to Genesis 2.0 yet? The short answer there, Jerron, is no. They will not be Genesis 2.0. However, we did update the pilot details on them from virtually non-existent to having separately applied pilot details, cut lever, train line, MU cables, and the like. But this production, they will still be just regular Genesis, not Genesis 2.0.
And let's transition back over to the Jeep 60s. I know this seems totally scatterbrained from what we usually do. Unfortunately, I'm kind of out of luck with this Wi-Fi today. So let's see here. Starting off, kind of going into some Rio Grande stuff from the GP60s. We're kind of transitioning out of talking about the good old CSX there. So the Rio Grande only had a few of them, right, Janek?
Yeah, they only had 3 as well as CSX. But those were the only 60s on the Rio Grande. Yeah, just those three. And some of them, probably, if not the last engines that they bought that were painted in Rio Grande, I want to say.
Oh, really?
I could be wrong, but
yeah, was it those or was it the SD50? Well, it's probably those because the 60 series came later. Duh.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. So Dave would know, but he's not here. So
yeah,
Dave will be happy to hear that I've been starting work on a Rio Grande GP35. Don't tell him.
I'll let him know. He'll come steal it from you.
Hey, well, I don't think so because I'm going to make it a dummy. I'm just kidding. No, it's going to be powered up.
That's a sweet consist right there.
Yeah, you know, we were kind of talking about these GP60s would find them in all sort of situations, all kinds of conditions. And to kind of illustrate that, I found this shot on Facebook of I think it's two GP60s leading, you know, some AC 4400s and some other hodgepodge stuff. Appears to be like either a grainer or a manifest train. So that's at Castle Rock, Colorado in '97.
Wow.
Look at that couple of bloody noses in there.
Yeah, and you know, going kind of a similar railroad was the SP, and I think the Rio Grande, these locomotives were, you know, based off the SP specs, so there was a lot of similarity between the two.
Yeah.
Actually found a great shot of an SP GP60 on a beat train.
James Hawkins tells us that they were built to cotton belt specs and they were all wreck replacement units.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's right. It was something like that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
If they'd stop wrecking their units, then they wouldn't need them.
Well, it looks like we're back to the Hollywood squares here for a minute. I guess I could leave these slides over to you, or unless Janek, you want to kind of take over on those Jindo containers. Do you have any info on those?
Well, I got some photos that I can throw up. Obviously, you know, you can't show the announcement, but I got photos here of some of the ones that we are announcing. So let me see if I can share the screen here real quick. So I found a photo there on Facebook of the Ferromex containers. Can you guys see those?
Let me hit your button here. Oh no, yep. There it goes.
So this is from Ferro Aficionados de Mexico here, and those are nice shot. Yeah, it's a Ferromex well car too. So hey.
Yeah, I was going to ask what that is. That just a single 53-foot maxi?
Looks like it to me. Looks like it to me. It looks like there's a coupler there.
Right.
And draft gear, so it's like a single.
It might be a newer prototype because look at the stiffener that's in the middle there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Send me that photo.
Here's a shot of the Estes that we're doing, and these are pretty.
That's on a spine car.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are pretty new. They started showing up, I would say, the last year or so. So they're still pretty clean. But this version is actually a little bit different than what we're doing. We're doing a version that has some metal panels on it with the hazmat placards, or this one doesn't have them yet, but we're going to do that feature on ours, so that'll be cool.
Now, is this the one, Janek, that has the unique hazmat placard, or was that Schneider?
I think, well, you know, I don't remember if the placard was for this one or Schneider.
Okay, and like you said, this photo doesn't show any placards anyway, but...
they're not on here yet. It's so new, I think. So what else? Ignore the Walmart for now, but we are doing a Prime for Grind Swift in this run, and this was sort of my inspiration for it, with the lettering starting to fade off like that. Kind of an off-white.
Yeah, look at that.
Those have been out for a while now.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool one. Good find.
Ooh.
Here's the Werner. This is this is from Bruce Jacobs. He's one of our good contacts. He gives us a lot of container photos, and so he was shooting this one. He shoots all the sides of it, which is great. But this is a really nice looking one. So, and then I got go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was going to say I like the new graphics that they have on those Werner containers.
Yeah, Werner Global. That's cool. And an intermodal. I got one more here for you guys as well. This is from the Florida East Coast Railway Society. Now, you'll notice that the container we're announcing is actually this one with the Hurricane logo. I did not know about this other version that they have that has it spelled out. So we'll have to do those sometime in the future, I would say.
Okay, good. And that's good that we've got some FEC stuff up there, because I noticed a comment earlier, and it might have been you, Bobby.
Yeah.
Bobby Glendenning, who was asking for more FEC stuff. So we've got FEC containers coming at least.
Oh, yep. So, yeah, it looks like Chris is still having some issues, unfortunately. So I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay.
And then.
So it looks like.
Oh, he's coming back.
Maybe.
Hello.
Chris, can you hear us?
I can hear you. I'm just having a heck of a time with this internet today. So sorry for the hiccups, and hopefully it's a little comical.
Right.
Well, let me see if I can share screen one more time with this. I had a really good shot, kind of further showing the diversity of those GP60s and the different service that you can find them in. This is a shot on a B train heading down Wallong back in, I'd say, about 1992. Yeah, this one was helping make mashed potatoes that day. If you ever seen these things, they fall out from the gates, and they catch under the wheels and get crushed.
Looks like they got a Holly Sugar car there.
Yeah, those are we built from an Ortner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be one I think we should consider, and we could probably come up with those panels if we just etched them. So
yeah, the thought on those extensions on the side was we could do them as an etching, and then just include them with the car. And if the customer wanted to install them on the car, they could, since it's an RTR car. So we wouldn't do the install.
Yeah, it's a neat looking car, and it was definitely characteristic of the 90s when the wooden beat racks started getting replaced, and they were experimenting out with some of these old coal cars, and putting on extensions and things like that.
Right. Yeah, because the beats are a much lighter commodity than the coal was, so they could put more in them.
Yeah, a lot more per car before you max it out.
So going back to the 60 for a second, we're doing some demonstrators. Also, Norfolk Southern Operation Lifesaver.
That's always been one of my favorite schemes.
And then the new Vermont Railway, back when it was first delivered. Actually, I think there was a photo of the Vermont Railway I had along the way here. This is kind of a smaller photo, but it's just kind of characteristic of the scenery, just the scenery and, kind of New England.
Looks like it's sometime around Halloween.
Yeah, definitely a fall sort of theme there, isn't it?
Right. That we could call one of our buddies up there on the Vermont Railway, Sean Thomas, and get some photos of him. Hey, Devin M. Jackson, you're on the video feed asking about Tex-Mex Jeeps.
Yeah, I think everybody's working from home today because I'm just lagging.
Yeah.
That'd be something for us to consider for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I know I've had a couple of other so-called friends, let's say, down there in Texas, giving us a little heck for not hitting the Tex-Mex guys this time, but we can't do everything on one run, so.
So, Chris,
one of the other ones that we're doing for the first time is the GP59 demonstrator. The Blue Box days, we never offered that version.
No, that's the first time for
and
them.
Let's see if this one's pulling up yet. That's this guy right here.
Nice.
I love that huge model designation on the sub-base doors.
Yeah, they kept forgetting what it was.
Mm-hmm. Let's make it larger than the road numbers.
It's like the opposite of what KCS did with their cab numbers for a while. They were like 6 inches tall or something.
Right.
Yeah, that's funny. So, yeah, the GP59 was kind of exclusive to the Norfolk Southern. They were pretty much the only girl that ordered them, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
And you can see those rounded front corners of the cab there.
One of the very first Heritage units for the Norfolk. Yeah. One of the very first Heritage locomotives. This is going over to Wikipedia. This photo here. Let's see here. That was like one of the very first Heritage locomotives.
Mm-hmm.
When did they paint that one? Do you know?
I think shortly after delivery or at the time of.
It was in the 90s, I want to say, that they painted it. And it was around the 2000s.
No, I think this is over at a museum. Let's see here.
Some people were saying they should have built it with a high nose, so then it would be a real Southern unit.
You know, that would have been really cool. I tend to agree with that sentiment.
Well, maybe I'll buy one and I'll scratch build it. Gotta match that green.
Yeah, it's a cool looking locomotive, and you know, you can't forget the very first Heritage locomotive. Now, I'm loading up something here. I think this is a project that you say you've been working on, Janek. You want to give us a little background on this clandestine project you've been kind of doing behind the scenes?
I don't know if I'd say I've been working, but we'll see if it comes up here. Yeah, so that is the good old Ventura County. Oh, and he's gone.
Yeah, and I don't have the photo to show, so it looks like we're just going to talk about it.
What the hell did I? Hang on, maybe I've got it here. Give me a quick minute here. That's the Ventura County Railroad GP15. And it's in the Genesee and Wyoming paint, which looks really good on a GP15 if you ask me.
Right. Now, Ventura, you said Ventura County?
Ventura County.
Okay.
Actually
it almost looks... Go ahead.
It
I was
actually
gonna say, go.
serves the Oxnard area, the port, in the ports down there. So
All right. Is that one of the former Apalachicola Northern units? It looked like it with all the vents, or is it just been
no,
modified?
that is it's former CNW actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
The nose bell. I'm going to share. I don't have that photo, but I was able to shoot it a couple other times, so I'm going to share another photo I have. And
There we go.
shot the rear end of it as well, which is that's great for getting details of it. So, you know, people are probably asking, why are you out here shooting this thing? Well, stay tuned for the next announcement.
When it is? Who knows?
So, and if you know anything about these, there are other GP15s in the similar B&W paint scheme. So maybe we should do those at the same time. I don't know.
Could be. Could be.
Harry Wong just mentioned California Northern. Yep, that's one of them. That's one of them. I can think of a couple more.
Yep.
So stay tuned for those.
It's funny, Genesee and Wyoming has a pretty big group of GP15-1s now, so it's anybody's guess.
Yeah, they do. They have a lot. Chris, you want me to send it back to you, or?
Well, I mean, do you have any other cool photos to share with us? I'm just having kind of a Dickens of a time with my internet, so I'm kind of counting on you guys to share your screen, and if you have anything cool to share, well, we do just maybe a short round of answering a few more questions and comments here.
Yeah, I don't have the photos that I sent you, but I do have others. So,
okay.
Just give me a second here to pull them up. This computer is older than dirt, so please bear with me.
Ooh, San Joaquin Valley.
Cool. Look at that sideways air conditioner on it.
This is a Bruce Jacobs photo again. So thanks a lot, Bruce, for shooting this one. He said where it was. I don't remember where he said it was actually, but this is the SJVR GP15 here with the oddball AC unit up there. This is an ex Conrail actually. So 88 inch.
It has the grab iron on the weird side of the nose.
Got the anti-climber here. Got the standard style intakes. Real nice coffee stain weathering right here that you can replicate.
Yeah, but for being ex Conrail, looks like they got rid of the marker lights on the nose, huh? Or did they come with them on the G15?
I think they had class lights or marker lights that looked like class lights, but yeah, they got rid of those.
Okay, all right.
So.
Yeah, they got out the Bondo for that one.
Yeah.
I also like the huge pipes that they got for the exhaust stacks and the ghetto grills around the horn.
Yeah. Well, where these guys work, you need to have the grill around the horn, or else it won't be there the next day. So.
For the Central Valley, you got to have like big old Flowmaster pipes on the thing, you know.
Yeah, for street cred, yeah.
Yeah.
Next step is blue LEDs along those trucks as the ground lights. All right.
So while I was looking at these, I found some interesting things about the Genesee, Wyoming. They seem to have at least 2 or 3 different shades of orange that they've been using, and I've also found at least 2 different yellows. Like when we did those Portland and Northern GP39-2s a while back, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Those had a completely different orange, and one of them had a completely different yellow.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I think there was a time where Genesee, Wyoming kind of had trouble mixing their orange in the early days, you know.
Yeah, so they seem to have settled down now. So this will be the standard orange that we've been using. I think we used it on some tunnel motors a little while ago. So
Rory says those
our
are
good
whistle
friend
tips.
Rory. Yeah. You got the woo woo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should be up making breakfast or something.
I can see him doing that now.
Oh, man.
So, question about any Canadian Pacific GP15-1s in the future.
Did they have any?
That was my question. I was wondering exactly that.
I'm glad you guys asked it. I was thinking it too.
Where would they have come from? Well, these things got scattered in the wind, it seems. So,
pulling our attention in another direction, we have Placer County Rail video suggesting UP SD59MX rebuilds, including the 9900 flagless and Building America schemes.
yeah, I was in Fresno. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
I was gonna say the 9900. That's that oddball one that had all those scrubbers on the top of it.
Yeah, I saw that thing in Fresno like 4 years ago.
Right. I mean, that'd be the cool one to do, but there's only one.
Yeah.
Well, we got a couple more minutes here to spend with y'all. Let's see here. We have Michael Fisher. He's asking, you guys did the last C&O CSX painted SD40 4617. Any plans on doing the last Seaboard system painted GP38-2 2667? Something for us to consider for sure.
Yeah, I would say.
Now, would that have been in Seaboard system paint, or would that have been in family lines by that time? Well, I guess if it was the last,
we'll have to get some photos.
I guess if that was the last Seaboard system, I guess it would be in Seaboard paint. So okay, all right.
Andrew Brewer, NS SD70 ACC question mark exclamation question mark exclamation.
I think he's excited.
I think he's super excited.
Definitely something to look into.
Yeah.
It would be quote unquote low hanging fruit, as they like to say, whoever they are. Just have to put the development time into it and see where it gets us. So I would say that the chances are probably pretty good.
Pretty good. We have James Pearson asking for BN GP38-2s. Please, slugs unit needs mothers too. Slug units need mothers too. Okay, that makes sense now.
Yeah, I think we released a few of those recently, but there's plenty more on the BN.
Yeah, the BN and 38-2s. I mean, they definitely had their pick.
You get all the units from Frisco as well. So.
And we got to always have our daily Train Tuesday nag about any hope of a rerun of the Amtrak Heritage P42s.
Well, see, the thing about this is certain guys are learning the system. They keep nagging on certain products.
That's just straight stacking the deck, you know.
I know, right? They figured they'd get all of them. I'm surprised they haven't wrote Matt Donnelly into it yet.
Ever since we said that we listen to these suggestions, we get flooded with them.
So keep it up.
Yeah, well, we also have our weekly Norfolk Southern and CP SD70 ACUs.
Oh, dang it. Hang on a minute.
By the way, I saw one.
Oh,
I saw
did?
one with like a SW1000 of all things. It was like Littlefoot, Bigfoot right next to each other. It was crazy.
Is it a red one?
Yeah, it was a red one with like a GMTX SW1000 just being towed somewhere. Probably for service.
Call me crazy, but I like the red ones and the plain red ones the best.
We have a request. Any new RTR steam, just like the new 280s? I think there's 2 other models from the RTR steam locomotives in our catalog.
260s or 440s. So.
Right. Americans or moguls?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what moguls.
Well, guys, I think this pretty much wraps up our show. Really appreciate you sticking through some of my trials and tribulations with the interwebs today and my connectivity. It's been a lot of fun. Also, thank you for all your suggestions, and we will come back at you with another Train Tuesday in another week. So thank you for tuning in, everyone, and we'll catch you around next time. Take care.
Okay. See ya.
Bye.